Hello, and thank you for joining me on 8. I am Maggie. So what are we doing? We're doing this beautiful slow crawl through this book, Excuses Be Gone by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Why are we doing this book? We are doing this book because it is how to change lifelong, self-defeating thinking habits. And if you pick up even one tool from this book, it could change your life. And since you know you're picking up more than one tool, you're going to be a major game changer, and you're going to be helping all those around you. Because every time that we improve ourselves, everybody around us improves. If we heal ourselves, everybody around us heals. So I know you're all game changers, and I appreciate you for tuning in. And honestly, this is what Dr. Wayne Dyer would want. He would want us to continue to read his books, utilize what he wrote. Like every teacher out there, Brian Scott, Josiah Brent, Neville Goddard, Louise Hay, they, just in general, they all Reverend Ike, they didn't just do their teachings to have them sit there. They wanted people to pick them up, assimilate them, take action, and have their best life. And that's what I want for you too. So we're gonna pick up where we left off. We are currently in the, chapter 16. The fifth question, can I create a rational reason to change? And we're going to pick up where we left off. We're in criteria 2. It must be, okay, so these are 4 criteria for creating a rational reason to change. The first one is it must make sense. We're on criteria 2 now. It must be doable. So within you is a private space where no visitors are allowed. This is where you meet yourself in total honesty, where you know what you're willing to dream, desire, and ultimately do. It's also where you find your answer to this question: am I willing and able to do what it takes to overcome these long-held habits of thought and action? So that's a very good question that we all want to ask ourselves in one sense or another. Are we willing and able to do what it takes to overcome these long-held habits of thought and action? Now, if the answer is that you just can't make a change, you know yourself well enough to predict that you won't do the work that's necessary to accomplish it. Because we know thyself, right? We know ourselves. When you're wise to heed the response, then you're wise to heed the response. Forget about changing those old habits, at least for now. However, if you don't know how you'll do it, but you feel that it's doable, then proceed. And that would go to you writing your book, starting your YouTube channel. Like many of you are going to be starting your YouTube channels. I'm so excited for you. You're going to be writing books. I'm so excited for you. You're going to be going back to school to get whatever license or whatever degree. You're going to be stretching yourself to learn like different finances. You're going to be learning things about like how to take and protect the earth. You're going to be learning other modalities to heal your body. Like I'm really, really excited for each and every one of you, because we are all responsible for what goes on. We are the first cause, right? So if you don't know how you'll do it, but you still feel that it's doable, that's you, then proceed. You'll find the answers coming to you because of your willingness to view these changes as a real possibility. Here are a couple of examples from my life that occurred recently at my tender age of 68. I attended a meeting with several television executives to discuss the possibility of hosting my own national show. Yay! Yay, Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer. The idea of spreading the word of higher consciousness and promoting a loving, compassionate approach to helping people appealed to me. I've been doing precisely that on my radio show each Monday on heyhouseradio.com for the past few years, and so the thought of expanding this to a much larger audience was indeed tempting. But in that honest place within me where the no visitors allowed sign hangs, I found hosting a national TV show to simply not be doable. It's not about having excuses. It's about the fact that I'm just not willing to give up my writing, yoga practice, ocean swimming, long walks, hikes in the woods, or time with those I love. Because it's not going to happen, and I know this, I simply let it go, and with no excuse necessary for my decision. It's not doable, period. No complaining, no explaining. The other thing too is I'd like to say is that if you pick something up and you say, okay, it's not doable, and you drop it down, but then life begins to happen and you start to like feel it again. You're like, okay, wait a minute, I gotta revisit this book I'm writing, or I gotta revisit this channel I'm starting, or I gotta revisit this type of work I was doing. Then that's the universe bringing it back a second time. So remember, you can never go wrong. Just continue to follow the messages that God sends you. So the second example involved a totally new experience that would take me all the way out of my comfort zone. It would be an opportunity to test myself in such a way that would be highly challenging, requiring me to have the mettle to overcome some old habits that had been supported by excuses. I was asked to be in a full-length motion picture based on the teachings that I've been associated with throughout my professional career. Yes, and if you never saw that movie, you got to see him. Dr. Wayne Dyer was great in it. So even though I was to play myself in a script that included professional actors, this endeavor would still require me to take direction from a well-established film director, learn lines, shoot scenes over and over and over from every conceivable angle, and work on a movie set for a month. It would entail 12 hours a day, often staying up all night and working outdoors, and always being told what to do, where to sit, how to react, where to go next, what to wear, and on and on. These experiences were certainly foreign to all that I've done in the past 3 decades. See, but he's 68 and he was still doing new things. And I believe Louise Hay started her publishing company when she was 67 years old. So like, let's go. So, but it was doable for me. In that quiet, private place within me, I was thrilled at the idea to become an actor in a movie based upon my teachings. Once I knew that this project had an inner goal, I totally surrendered to the process. I knew that the greater good would be served by the film, and I let go of all my reasons, excuses for not taking it on. I know it will be difficult. It's a real risk. I've never acted before. I don't take direction. I do what I want when I want, and I say what I'm guided to say. It's not my nature to be an actor. No one will help me. I'll be hopelessly lost. I've never done such a thing before. What if I look stupid? I'm too old to learn a new profession, let alone master it at the age of 68. A movie is too big of a project. I'm too busy with my writing and overly full schedule. I'm scared. I don't like being put in a position where I might look bad or even worse, fail. So I really think this is really important to make this point. He really goes on excessively about the doubts that he had. And I really think what he was trying to tell you is that a lot of people saw Dr. Wayne Dyer. He was so amazing. But sometimes people think once they get to this point, they have no fears and they're never challenged. And that's not true. And I think he's really trying to help us see that the same fears that he has, that you have, that I have, that we all have, he had, and he faced them and he did it anyway, and he succeeded. And so we can too. And so I arrived on the set to meet the director, actors, sound and lighting people, and rehearsal folks with a new attitude. I came ready to listen, learn, and master whatever skills I needed to create this full-length movie. Once I knew that it made sense and was definitely doable, even though I didn't have a clue as to how I'd accomplish it, all that I needed and much more began to show up right on time, and it's going to happen for you too. The moment I stole my skepticism, every excuse for not being involved in the project disappeared. I must add here that I met some of the most intriguing people I've ever known, all of whom have become close friends. I loved the entire experience, and there's now a beautiful motion picture thanks to the accomplished actors, directors, editors, and film crew. Okay, so I'm so glad about this. It's titled The Shift. So if you haven't seen it, please see it. It really was a wonderful movie and really gets into the layers of your heart. So titled The Shift, it brings me more pride and joy than I can describe. Okay, criterion 3. It must allow you to feel good. Oop. Excuse me. It must allow you to feel good. Your left brain deals with the details of your life. This is where you analyze, compute, figure, and get all your ducks in a row. And the first 2 criteria detailed above speak right to it. When you ask yourself the question, can I create a rational reason to change? Your intellect responds, yes, indeed. That does make sense. And I really believe that I can do this thing and bring about the desired change. Your right brain, on the other hand, deals with things like your emotions, your intuition, your enthusiasm, your awareness, and even your consciousness. So let's examine the creation of a rational reason to change from right brain point of view and discover how this change feels. When I did this exercise in connection with the possibility of having my daily TV program, I didn't feel good at all. I felt tensed, rushed, tight in my stomach, and nervous about all the time I had to devote to the show. I actually began to feel sick, and that was enough for me. My emotions, which showed up in my body as a result of my thoughts, were giving me the answer. Contrast this with what happened when I visualized how I'd feel after taking up the movie and acting challenge. I felt dizzy with excitement about learning a completely new craft, not to mention strong content and proud. My emotions actually empowered me. If you want to shed old habits and excuses, take some time to visit that private place within you. Close your eyes and visualize yourself as being completely free of these limitations. How does your body react? If you feel good, that's all the evidence you need to prove to yourself that you have a rational reason to change. And he's not telling like ecstasy feel good, like just out there, alcohol feel good. He's talking like you get into the private place and you really listen to your body, and it's going to tell you like yes and no, and he's talking about that. So we all want to like know that our yes is yes and our no is no, and trust and listen to ourselves. So if you're hanging on to a whole bunch of habits that have been reinforced by excuses, note that these will make you feel bad. Your old mental crutches may only serve to keep you from having an experience within your body that registers as good, so you may be accustomed to being emotionally bankrupt. Okay, so that's why we really want to spend time in the, as Neville Goddard would call it, the silence. But once we get in there and we begin to become one with the Creator, because we're actually never separate, but sometimes we do things that separate us so that we don't know the voice. We really don't, we want to get into a place where we know our yes is yes and our no is no. So pain, anxiety, fear, and anger, and the like make themselves known in your body as rashes, eczema, heart palpitations, arthritis, backaches, headaches, stomach aches, diarrhea, eye strain, cramps, and many more ailments too numerous to mention here. The point is that these emotional reactions that show up in the body can become your way of life to the point that they define your reality. And when you're questioning why that is, that's when the excuse, I've always been this way, tends to rear its ugly head. You can feel better, you can feel healthy, you can feel strong, you can feel blessed, you can feel joy. In short, you can feel great. Like Reverend Ike says, right here and right now, I feel great, or I feel joy, or I feel wealthy, or money loves me, whatever it is. If the idea of eliminating an incapacitating thinking habit that you've had for a long time resonates with you, then imagine it being gone. So like Josiah Brandt says, imagine wisely. Okay, because what we imagine, we're practicing for the higher dimensions. When your thought immediately materializes, which is next level Neville, you're going to need this. We're practicing here. So you want to make sure that what you're thinking, emoting is what you want to happen. Okay, so in short, you can feel great. If the idea of eliminating an incapacitating thinking habit that you've had for a long time resonates you, then imagine it being gone. Does it a disappearance register in your body as positive, healthy, and a happy sensation? Does it? If so, then that alone is reason enough to plunge into the excuses be gone formulations presented here. And let's just really honor Dr. Wayne Dyer by picking up at least one tool and utilizing it in our lives, because it's going to bear fruit, and it's going to be the kind of fruit you want to eat. Okay, so criterion 4, it will be aligned with the calling of your soul. How do you determine that you're aligned with your soul's purpose? You know by the way the rational reason speaks directly to you in the personal place within. The thoughts and feelings that surface tend to go like this. This is truly who I am. By making these changes and eradicating these excuses, I will be living my life on purpose, fulfilling a destiny I came here to accomplish. I could go on and on here detailing the benefits that accrue when you connect to the callings of your soul. However, I'm going to suspend my desire to write and just let you know that in the next chapter, the 6th question in the excuses be gone paradigm takes off from this point. And it takes you on a journey in which you will see how the universe itself begins to cooperate with you through the law of attraction. When your habits detach from the world of ego and align excuse-free with your source of being. So I'd like to switch gears here by returning to the story of my son Sands. That's the surfer, which opens this chapter. As I already mentioned, this young man had a lifelong problem with waking up in the morning, but he ultimately was able to create a rational reason to change his old self-sabotaging thoughts and eliminating the excuses that supported his bad habits. Sands loves nothing more in this world than to surf in the ocean. He was given a surfboard at the age of 4. He immediately paddled out to where the waves were breaking, jumping up on his board, and surfed all the way to shore. All of us stood there dumbfounded as we watched this little boy ride his first wave like an expert. And usually the gifts that God gives us, they are natural like this. So as for Sands, he was hooked. He lived and breathed surfing ever since. It's like he connected to his purpose the moment he jumped on that board. My son has an entire library of videos on the subject and regularly checks the surf all over the world. He dons a wetsuit and goes into the water with one of his many boards. Regardless of his location on the planet or any consideration of the temperature of the air or water, he studies waves like an ornithologist studies birds. It truly is his great passion. In fact, he just returned from a 16-day trip through the islands of Indonesia on a boat that specializes in taking surfers to some of the greatest waves available on the planet Earth. Now, for the 16 days that he lived in cramped quarters on a boat with 8 other surfers, Sands was able to wake up every morning before dawn. He'd be out in the water all day, well past dusk, staying up all night to talk with the other surfers about the waves they caught that day, sleep soundly until 5 a.m. and repeat the same routine for more than 2 consecutive weeks. And he never felt tired. The same is true when your son visits me on Maui. When my son visits me on Maui, if the waves are good, he's no longer has a sleeping in all day habit. For my son, a rational reason to change is the notion that he's able to live in harmony with his passion. So let's review the 4 criteria for eliminating the excuses that travel the same path as the habit itself. 1. Sands had a rational reason for changing his habit that definitely makes sense. So maybe you and I would perceive riding waves a day in freezing water as absurd, but my son, this means that he'll be able to be in a place where his strongest desires are in rapport with his actions. The waves are there, he's there, and he loves riding on those waves, so it all makes perfect sense. 2. Sands has a rational reason for changing his old habits that are also positively doable. When he's near the water and is free to surf without any real responsibilities, he never says, I can't get up, it's too difficult. It's not my nature to rise early. I don't have the energy or any of the other excuses he likes to break out when he's away from the ocean. When his friends call to confirm that they're going to pick him up at 4:30 in the morning a.m., his first response is great, regardless of what time he goes to bed the night before. He can be found in the kitchen at the appointed time fixing a bagel and drinking his juice, excited and ready to go on early morning surfing expeditions. 3. There's no doubt that being in the water and riding those waves allows Sands to feel good. And I equate this with God. As I wrote in chapter 9, whenever he's enthusiastic about something, that means we're tapping. Okay, whenever we're enthusiastic about something, that means we're tapping into the God within. Feeling good is akin to feeling God. And when we're doing what we love and experiencing the passion that accompanies such movements, we're truly being guided by our source. I watch my son as he paddles out, as he rides his board, as he tells me stories of the barrel that he rode. As he watches his videos, there's a kind of seeing with a capital S that isn't with him at any other time. His concentration in studying the waves and knowing exactly when to pounce is like observing a cat concentrating on potential prey. Pure poetry in motion. In his nature, it's his nature, and watching him in these moments allows me to see him in a totally new light. It is the same excitement I feel within myself when I speak before an audience, or as I sit here in my sacred space writing these words that I hope will touch you and unborn generations as well. And that's what we're doing here. We are reading this book to help the world, to honor Dr. Wayne Dyer, and to fulfill this wish that he had to touch you in unborn generations. He always wanted to uplift everybody, and he always wanted us all to heal. And so there we go. Okay, 4. All of what I've written above, as well as what follows in chapter 17, leads me to conclude that for Sands, a rational reason to change a long-held bad habit is that his early morning journeys to the sea are a moment where he's being called by spirit to get up and be in harmony with the calling of his soul. And I have no doubt whatsoever about this conclusion. So I want to say, if you are in earshot or eyeshot of this video, you are called for greatness. Greatness is you. You are in the winning circle, and you are needed in such a time as this. So whatever it takes to get you out of that bed, and maybe some of you do sleep in the efforts to work in the evening and night. Maybe you're holding space in special types of jobs. Maybe you're working on a project that requires that. Maybe you pray at night, and that's what you're doing to help protect others and help uplift different parts of the world. But I'm wanting you to know that there's no more time to wait on taking action on your purpose, and that it's okay. If I don't know if you could ever know a more okay reason than watching me flip-flop as I learn this. It is okay to not be perfect. It's okay to step boldly forward. It's okay to learn and figure things out each and every day. But what is not okay is for you to stay in the corner. Nobody puts baby in the corner. It's not okay. Come out of the corner. We want you to play full in life. The world needs you to give your gifts, purpose, and acts of service. And as he so beautifully put here, that he believes for Sands, getting up and surfing, he's feeling good and he's feeling God in that moment. And that when we're in harmony like this, we know it's the calling of our soul. So you are called. Answer the call. Hello, this is God. This is the universe calling. Sparkle, Kathy, Tammy. Hello, Erez. Hello, Spiritualists and Jenny and Josiah and Brian, hello. And many of you are already out there doing it. And I just want to thank you. And all of those who are laying in wait, or those of you who are like stepping forward, thank you. Just know you're needed. All right, thank you for listening. When you do get a chance, please hit that like button and subscribe and leave your positive comments. I do appreciate your support, and I just know you're game changers, so let's get out there and change the game. All right, and you know what's next? Peace in, peace out.